Episode 98, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker Movie Review.
You're listening to the Visionary Variety Podcast, where we cover cool stuff like photo, video, film, books, and technology. So, switch on your brain and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Visionary Variety Podcast. This episode is going to be a movie review of the long-awaited final trilogy of trilogies, or finishing of the trilogy of trilogies.
Yeah, it's called a nonology.
Oh, what? Oh, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, nonology, I think.
Awesome. So I am Daniel Grove, your host. We've also got with us Nate Gunn.
Hey.
And Abi León.
Hello.
Glad to have you back on the show, Abi. You're an avid Star Wars fan as I am, and you know movies way more than I ever will. So this is going to be a good one, I know.
Yeah, I love movies, so thanks for having me on.
How many times have you seen it?
3 times, and it's on. It was released.
Man, you got me beat.
It was released 4 days ago.
Wow.
The first part of this episode is going to be spoiler free. So if you have not seen the movie yet, don't worry. We're not going to ruin it for you. But then after a certain point, I will make sure you know when that is. There will be spoilers everywhere, and we're just going to blow the whole thing open. So
Yeah.
there you go. There's your warning. You'll hear it later. All right, so let's get started with a little discussion I wanted to have before we actually get into the movie talk. And that is the discussion about toxic fans. What is up with toxic Star Wars fans? They make me sick. I'm so over it.
They're partisan fans. It's really strange. And then such hate and vitriol for The Last Jedi. I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense.
That's when it crosses the line. It's like, okay, you cannot like a movie. That's fine. But when you start insulting the director and when you start insulting fans that like that movie, that's where there's something wrong. I'm like, dude, grow up.
Yeah, there's just no better word. It's just toxic. It's just like
They're paid.
I think I watched a podcast where they talked about, people that they almost vest themselves emotionally into these films to the point where they think they own them. And, and then to the point where they think that the people that produce it owe them. And it's like, no, you don't, you don't own this franchise. It's not yours. You're an observer, and
you could not do any better if you were in their position. So stop thinking you can.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty active member on a Facebook group called Star Wars: The Saga Continues, and there is just short of 22,000 members in this Facebook group. It's very large and very busy.
Yeah,
and I like it because there's a variety of stuff that goes on there, but there is a lot of just rude and toxic fans on there too. And it's just
you're pretty popular
crazy.
on that forum. I laugh every time I see you post. I'm like, oh, there he is, there he is, there he is.
Sometimes I just scan through. I'm like, I want to comment on that. I'm going to comment on this one. I'm not trolling them necessarily. I just want to comment on various things because there's a lot of people on there that know way more than I do. And so I like to get different viewpoints. And, I was wrong about something recently. So someone corrected me. I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, but you didn't lose your stuff because you were proven wrong, right?
Yeah.
You just accepted it. It's just like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. And I have this strange ability, unlike some of the unlike all toxic fans, to recognize when something is opinion and when something is fact.
Yeah. That must be a Jedi force power.
Yeah, it is now. I'm going to pull a J.J. Abrams and make a new force ability, which is to distinguish fact from opinion.
Yeah.
We'll look more on that later. So now that's just off my chest, because that's just really, really bugging me about, the aftermath of episode 8, which I do not think was terrible, The Last Jedi. And
I didn't either.
Leading into this movie and after this movie came out, which is just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Which it came out the day, it kind of came out on my birthday, but there is like midnight showings at 7 p.m. the day before. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, midnight showings. I don't know how they
It's not a midnight showing.
Yeah, I don't even know the legality of that.
One of my friends saw it at 11:30 Thursday night. So
Well, I mean, I had friends watching like at 6 or 7 p.m. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's midnight.
But I saw it on my birthday, and it made for a really great birthday.
Yeah.
So that's it for the toxic fan stuff. I guess get that ugly vomit taste out of my mouth. Let's look at the movie. Spoiler-free section again. Let's give each of our ratings. Now, what obscure object should we use for the ratings instead of stars? Oh, that's spoiler-free. Ooh, that might be tricky.
Porgs?
How about a roasted porg?
A roasted.
You could pull a Last Jedi. All right. So out of 5 roasted porgs, how many do each of you guys give it?
I'll let Abi go on that one. I don't know.
I give it. You know, this movie gave me the same sense of completion that Endgame did.
Yes.
And because of that, I give it a 5. I give it 5 out of 5 roasted porgs. And a lot of people argue whether it retconned or not, and that'll be debated for the next 6 months to a year. But I think if it was a retcon, it was very cleverly done.
Yeah.
And if it was done on purpose, and Rian Johnson was actually following the script and the plan that Disney set out, then wow, I'd give it a 6. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just really well done. How they wrapped up everything. They touched on everything. Five out of 5.
That's a lot.
5 out of 5 for me.
Cool.
I give it a really good rating.
Great. What about you, Nate?
I think I agree with Abi because there was a lot of suspense, a lot of feels. So kind of touched on a lot of everything. There was a few things, but that's just me nitpicking.
Yeah, and it's okay to have those nitpicky things, but
for sure.
I don't think that they should be considered necessarily in the overall picture.
Yeah,
now, if we're on a scale of 1 to 100, that's different. But when we're just talking about, just here's my hot take, 5 out of 5. Then 4.37 out of 5. That doesn't make sense.
Just like 4 roasted porks and like a leg.
Yeah,
give me a 5.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I really like to give it a 5 just out of emotionalism and just how much I love Star Wars as a whole.
Yeah,
but that's just not really a good way to judge an individual movie review or rating. So I'm gonna have to stick with a 4 because I did see some things that I just felt like J.J. Abrams was taking a little too much creative liberty with a few aspects, but also there were some convenient plot devices that were just so perfectly aligned and for everything to move forwards. But I mean, it's not like I didn't like the movie.
You saw it
We'll
twice.
get that later. So yeah. So I'm going to say 4 stars right now. Did this movie? Well, you kind of answered this already, Abi. But I'll ask this to you, Nate, and then Abi, you can answer too. Did this movie finish the saga in your opinion? Did it finish it very well?
Ooh, that's tough without giving anything away.
Yeah.
Just say yes or no.
Yeah, I'll just say yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, that's hard.
Abi,
Yes, definitely. Like I said, it gave me that same sense of completion that Endgame did. It closed the arcs that were laid.
I did like the bigness of the ending, the finale stuff going on. I love the secret stuff that what we didn't know about until it came up. And it's like, oh, this has been happening. So lots of surprise. I did like that. So I'd say, I like the ending of it too. Of the nonology, was that what it was called?
Nonology, I think.
Nonology.
Yeah.
Enneagram was 9, so I don't know, maybe that's Latin versus Greek. Anyway, do y'all feel like this movie made sense after watching The Last Jedi? Like, is there continuity, or is there a lot of gaps in between?
I would say yes, but I feel like the buildup at the beginning of the movie, I don't know. I was kind of like, where are we? What are we doing? And then I was like, oh.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's fast.
Yeah, it hit really fast. Yeah, it was really jarring for me too. I was like, whoa, this went really fast. Like J.J. Abrams spent no time jumping into the action. Like he went right for the jugular, because he's like, I'm going to use up my 130 minutes, and he sure did.
Maybe all that stuff that happened really fast was going to be his episode 8 if he had to say so in it.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
He's like, well, let's just move my 8 ideas into a real quick intro for 9 and move on.
I guess that beginning part of not much buildup and just getting right into it, I guess would just be an assumption of just getting right to the point, which is what we want as fans.
Yeah, this one I think is like I think it's like Matrix 2 and 3, where you have to watch them back to back because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Now, if we separate, if we try to make this movie a standalone, that buildup is really jarring. But if you watch it immediately after Last Jedi, which I did, it just picks right up. It just I watched it on Friday. I watched The Last Jedi on Friday, and Saturday morning I went and watched this movie, and I was like, hot dog. Yeah, it just picked right up.
Remind me, how does 8 end?
Rey breaks apart the wall of rocks, and they realize that she's like super powerful, and they're like, holy smokes, and then they all get in, and and then it ends right there.
Forgot that was ending.
It picks right back up. I mean, where Rise of Skywalker starts. It's almost like it was the next scene. You know what I'm saying?
On a side note, I have to just assume that these planets and these star systems in this galaxy are very close together. There is so much planet travel, and it's just nothing to them. I mean, sure, even if you're flying light speed, it's like a lot of travel, but not in Star Wars galaxy.
Well, Mandalorian kind of sets a precedent for that. I know this isn't a Mandalorian episode, but there's that part with the rescue, the one where they go to rescue
Prison Break one.
Well, yeah, the Prison Break, yes. And there's a section in there where they're trying to figure out how are we going to get to it. They show this like 3-layered map.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
and basically what some other reviewers had said is like this represents the folding of time and space. The Republic or whatever and their technology have figured out how to fold time and space multiple times over, which is why they're able to get to many planets faster.
That's cool.
Because they're able to fold time and space more than just once, which is what we only have theory for one. Yeah. And so,
Interesting.
I think that is a valid question, and Mandalorian kind of answers it.
All right. So two more questions about this in the non-spoiler section. Do you think that this episode 9 leaves things open for more movies and stories? Whether with Rey or not, but immediately following this time chronologically, do you feel like there's room for more?
I think there's one more directly after, but without getting into spoilers, I really can't say. But I would say there's one definitive.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to speculate is what could happen next, whether disconnected stories or tie-ins or something like that. So we'll talk about our Star Wars movie wish list.
Yeah.
All right. Last question is: did you cry?
Oh, for sure.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I handed my man card in.
What? Real men can't cry? Real men cry?
Star Wars.
Nah. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, man. I cried. So what? Fight me.
I wear pink too.
Did you?
I didn't. I'm not a crier in general. I'm not a movie crier either, but I went into this expecting like it to really get me. It's I've invested a lot of my life in Star Wars.
No, I got more teary-eyed than crying. So
yeah, I didn't.
Nah, dude.
I didn't even get close. Maybe I was just too tied up in the visuals, but I didn't. I was hoping I would.
My allergies acted up really bad during the movie. Really bad.
Sure. Yeah. Lots of stuff in your eye, just also. Yeah,
the air quality index on my iPhone said 90 inside the theater.
All right. So beyond this point, you have been warned. There will be spoilers. All right, so let's talk about the themes in this movie. I feel like themes are important to storytelling. It's something that's easy to overlook, especially for someone like me that just loves the technology, loves the art form, the visuals, and just the nerdy geek out stuff. Sometimes I'll overlook themes, but then I'm like, wait, I need to back up and just look at this as a piece of storytelling art. What are the big ideas being presented? Are they presented well? And what does it mean for us as like real people in the real world? Because if a movie doesn't have any of those qualities, then it could be better. Yeah. So some of the themes that I picked up on was, of course, that identity is super important.
Yeah,
that scene in the Falcon with Rey and Finn talking, and he's like, "I know you, Rey," and she goes like, "No, I don't think anybody does." And she's looking for identity. The whole time and the whole trilogy. She's trying to figure out where does she come from and what kind of trajectory does that put her life on? Where should she be? Is fate, is destiny a thing? All good questions. And identity is just like the first step to finding out your purpose, I think. What do you guys think about that? Or do you have any other alternate takes on that theme?
No, yeah, I think that's the prime theme over anything. I mean, and it's denoted in the ending. It's denoted from episode 7. Who is she?
Yeah.
Where does she come from?
Yeah.
And in the end, she makes the choice to become who she is. I think that's the principal theme.
Another theme that I saw was doing whatever it takes to help your friends. That final big finale when Palpatine opens up the ceiling and she sees her friends just getting blasted out of the sky. And she pretty much, I mean, maybe I took it wrong, but it seemed to me like she actually made the decision, okay, I'm going to go along with Palpatine's, command here. I'm going to strike him down. And maybe then I can control the fleet and maybe I can turn it, and save them. But to do whatever it takes to save people you love is pretty big theme here too. And I guess that kind of plays into the sacrifice, sacrifice theme.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can't have a good hero journey or hero story without some sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think that points to our human condition is to choose between preservation of self or preservation of community. And I mean, even when she took that mission, she says, "No, I'm going alone." She goes, "Yeah," and then Finn says, "Yeah, alone with your friends." Yeah, we're coming with you, and she's like, "No, I have to do this by myself."
You didn't want to endanger them.
Yeah, exactly.
Some other characters that sacrificed was Rey's parents. They hid her on Jakku, and I'm assuming went back to their home planet, which was that Kijimi or was that the desert planet with a party? I'm mixing planets up. Either way, Rey's parents sacrificed themselves, not that they wanted to, but they did end up dying for what they did, which was hiding and not telling the Oshi alien guy, the hunter. I'm not telling him where Rey was, so that they sacrificed themselves to keep her safe.
Yeah. I mean, like even CP3, taking the chance of losing all his memory. I was like,
dude. There you go.
That's a great. That was kind of done by force.
It was voluntary because they like looked at him and they said, "Is what do they say? What are the odds, or is there any other way?" And he pretty much said, "There is no other way. I'll do it."
I feel like he was wanting to sacrifice himself because he kept making hints the whole time. He's like, "Well, if somebody would just know, I guess I'm the only one." I'm like, dude, you want to?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Dude, the comedy in this movie was so great with C-3PO.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
On.
It was all about timing. It felt more like just a funny back talking teenager. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that, kind of thing.
My favorite line was probably when they fell through the quicksand into that underground cavern. And he's like, "Are we in the afterlife? Am I allowed here?" Or what do you say? Are droids allowed here? That was so great.
No, what the funny part for me was like, you said everybody else's name, but not mine.
But I'm okay.
But I'm okay.
Yeah. That was good too.
That was really cool. Yeah, that was.
I think Leia must have turned up his comedy parameter. All right, so one more thing in the themes section about the movie is the alone aspect. So later in the movie, who is it? Azori Bliss tells Poe, she says, "Remember, they defeat you by making you feel alone, or like you're the only one." What does she say?
That's a great line.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty deep, like, solitude.
Yeah,
is not a good place to be if you're facing something,
in crisis, right?
Yeah, crisis, if you've been through trauma, if you're trying to get somewhere in life, like all those 3 different stages of life, like before, during, and after stuff, you need to be in community. And, depression increases exponentially when you're alone.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing that increases. That's not good. We need to be around people. And I love how that becomes part of his like pep talk later into the rest of the
his
resistance
hero speech.
Yeah, but he brings it up and he's like, talking about hopes, like they'll defeat you by making you feel like you're the only one, but we're not alone, stuff like that. So that was great.
Yeah,
that's very biblical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally
very biblical theme. Yeah, we're communal beings.
All right, so let's talk about the next section, which is predictions. This is one of my favorite things I love to do with movies like this: is make predictions, write them down, and see how wrong or right I was. So I wrote a whole list of questions and I answered them based on my predictions. This was like Wednesday, Thursday, before I saw the movie. And did you guys get that list too? Did y'all have time to kind of do your own predictions?
Yeah. I just had one. My biggest thing was figuring out who Rey's parents and lineage was. That was my biggest thing.
Big mystery.
That was the only thing that really mattered to me. Really, anything beyond that was like, oh, what are the confirmed cameos going to be like and stuff like, the stuff that doesn't matter. But that was my biggest prediction, was who her parents were going to be and stuff.
Now, we don't have time to go through all of each of our predictions, but we do want to talk about a few ones real quick. Abi, who did you think her parents would be?
I thought she was going to be Kylo Ren's disavowed twin sister, akin to how Leia and Luke were separated at birth. I thought she was going to be
each other.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be a Skywalker in that sense, that she was, that somehow Leia didn't know that she had twins inside of her, and maybe they knocked her out in some new form of cesarean, and they took one of the babies, and that was my biggest thing, is that's why maybe she's the older of the twins and stuff like that, which would make the ending kiss scene apropos
even more incestuous.
Yeah, just like the first trilogy. So it would kind of be in line with George Lucas's vision. But no, but that was my that's who I thought it was. I did not think the Palpatine line was even close to being true. Like I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Then it's so stupid. And man, I was so wrong. Yeah.
And it's easy to think that because Leia plays such a big role in her life. So
yeah, they have a connection there.
Well, the other thing was the way that she was so innately familiar with the Millennium Falcon in The Force Awakens, and how taken Han was with her, and then there was an interview that Daisy Ridley gave, like, after, where they asked, "Hey, who are her parents?" and she didn't answer directly, but she goes, "Wasn't it obvious?" And the only thing that I could think that was obvious was, well, it was Han is her dad. So if Han is her dad, then Leia's her mom. And that's where that's another, was a hint to me.
In that episode, Solo says, "You're pretty good with that blaster," or something, and it's just another nod to something that he's really good at. So I could,
so Rey's parents. Oh, what about you, Nate? Who'd you think Rey's parents were originally?
Jokingly, back in episode 7, I was like, "Watch her be a Palpatine." Everybody was like, "Nah." And so then episode 8 came out. I was like, it's not Luke. So then I was like, man, dang, that's so tough. I want her to be related to like Han, like it's Han's kid or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, watch her be a Palpatine or something to tie with Snoke or something weird like that. When that scene in the episode 9 came out, I was like, called it. I called it. I was like, what the heck? Like literally when she had the lightning come out of her hand, I was like, dude.
That was awesome. Yeah, I had like 3 theories kind of on the table for myself, but I was leaning more towards the clone of Palpatine. That maybe he was making bodies to transfer his Force essence into once there was a stable, like strong body, young person to jump into. I thought he was going to do that. So I was kind of half right with like his intention of using her, but not where she came from. And I was totally caught by surprise when she was the offspring of him. I was like, why didn't I think of that? Like, of course he could have kids all over the place. He doesn't care about Jedi rule because he's not a Jedi. If some people are like, oh, he's Obi-Wan's daughter. I'm like, come on, seriously? You think Obi-Wan's going to have a kid?
That'd be pretty cool too.
It would, but it doesn't fit, the
his
character
fits.
of obeying the rules. Yeah, the accent's there and the Force is there, but that's it. So I had her being as a clone of Palpatine, and then I also kind of a secondary theory that I wish would have happened was I wanted her to be the daughter of Thane and Sienna from Lost Stars novel.
Ooh,
like everything. If you just look that up, if you're curious about it, look it up, and it's really convincing. Like honestly, the timing, they end up on Jakku. One is rich and has Force powers. One doesn't. One has a British accent. One doesn't. It would have been so perfect. But no, it just totally got dropped.
That would have been cool.
Rian Johnson's original plan was to have a housemaid who lived in the Solo household, and she would have been the mother of Rey and with some other guy, not
kind of like Abraham and Sarah, kind of thing, like the handmaiden.
No, I mean no, we can't have Han Solo cheat on Leia. That would have been just no, never. But he wanted to have her parents literally be nobodies that lived in the Solo household, and therefore Rey and Ben would have grown up together, and there was a connection there, blah blah blah. But I'm kind of glad that didn't happen because it just would have seemed a little weird.
Yeah, that's dumb. I'm glad they
Don't
didn't
line
let
up
him.
with that
Yeah.
stuff.
Where did you hear that? We got this covered.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Hopefully not.
.com. No, I'm just.
I can't even say. If you look it up, you can find it somewhere and see if it's maybe I'm just totally reading from a BS website. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't remember where it was from. Yeah, I wrote a list of a whole bunch of random stuff that I was hoping to see, and I was right about Dark Ray. That she was a vision of sorts.
Yeah.
And
That was
a few
one
other
line. You
odds
got
and
that
ends
right.
things. I was for sure that C-3PO was going to die, and he didn't. I was kind of hoping he would.
Honestly, I was
impactful.
hoping it was just a combat mode, but it wasn't.
That would
the
be
red.
cool too.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Like all of a sudden he's a ninja or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a hidden like self-defense or a defense mode hidden in his programming. Well,
Yeah.
in one of the movie posters, he has the bow blaster or whatever it's called.
Really?
As if he was going to be using it.
Mm.
But he did. He carried it through a hallway, and that was it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which would have been his moment.
Yeah, that was his moment for action, but nothing happened.
When he had the bandolier and all that stuff, I was like,
goodness.
just shoot somebody. And he's like, my friends. I was like,
That's Disney's MO now. Is
misleading.
all the misdirection. Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen him just kill a stormtrooper and go, "Oh my," or "Is he okay?"
Yeah.
Something like that. That'd been so funny.
I wanted to talk really quickly about like the things that that we liked about the movie. Me being a filmmaker, having studied film and stuff like that, I am innately drawn to like the sets, the backdrops, and just the overall cinematography.
Totally.
What does it look like and things like that. So I love J.J. Abrams' return to practical effects. God bless George Lucas. He gave us a great story, a universe of heroes and things like that.
Yeah.
When he did those prequels, man, and he went completely digital with everything, and then he retconned the movies, the original theatrical cuts, and added digital Jabba the Hutt and all this stuff. I mean, I think his intention was good, but it just did not feel real.
That's a petition I'm willing to sign for redos.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, remake the prequel trilogy.
There was a guy that actually you've seen those VFX artists react.
Yeah.
There was another guy who inspired that. The guy who inspired the Corridor Digital. He actually went back and did a deep fake over the Jabba the Hutt to make it look more natural. With
I saw that.
Yeah,
he used Blender. I think he used Blender.
Yeah,
right?
he did. He did use Blender, and he
awesome.
used Blender with the new ray tracing plugins and stuff like that, and
Nice
to make it more realistic and whatnot.
When Kajimi blew up, was that a practical planet explosion? That looked like practical effects.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? The way
looked like the old school Alderaan.
The way that the planet just shattered the tectonic plates and everything. Yeah,
it did not look like CGI.
Right.
Good job, that was if it was.
Yeah, it looked like it was something like they made a shell, a matte shell or something like that, and then just set weak points and blew it up. Yeah, it looked very, very, very real. So I love the cinematography. It felt like it was film, even though it was probably shot on one of those RE Alexa 65s or something like that.
Yum.
So, but it felt like film, so much so actually to a fault, because we watched in the EVX at Evo, and I noticed the grain. Like I noticed the film grain. Like I don't know if they added it in post, or if I don't know what they did, but I mean it felt like film. And
imagine if that was your job. What if you were the grain technician for like a major production house?
Yeah.
You just added grain. That'd be so funny.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's grain theory. Like, where do you add grain? Do you add in the shadows and the midtones? There's
crazy.
no grain in the highlights, kind of thing. And so I really appreciate the amount of professionalism and detail and excellence that they go into making mainstream films. I love Star Wars, but what's really brought me into Star Wars is this new trilogy. Because before I liked them, and I like to talk about them and stuff, but I haven't been into it like I have with this new trilogy. This new trilogy brought me into the lore and brought me into wanting to know more about it. But learning about things like the secret of the Sith Cult. What did you guys think of that? That was pretty dark and dope.
Yeah, it was cool. I think it's one of the many things that they borrowed a successful point from the Legends or the non-canon books
Yeah.
that hit well, and it was cool and creative and works well in the Star Wars universe within the rules, and they just kind of adopted it and adapted it and changed it.
Mhm.
So that's definitely found in the non-canon books. There's a whole book series about them finding a hidden tribe of the Sith that, you know, the Sith had supposedly been defeated for thousands of years. But nope, they found another tribe out there, I think in the unknown regions. I'm not sure about that part. But they find him, and there's this really cool battle with Luke, and he's got like his two kids, and Jaina and it's Jason. I'm forgetting all the names because there's like a bunch of kids that they all have. Leia's got a grown-up daughter, and then there's two twins. One of them went bad.
Yeah.
But the good twin and her older daughter are with Luke and his son Ben, doing this epic adventure. So yeah, I loved it. It was very mysterious. They didn't really tell a lot about it. They didn't give any identities to all these followers, these faithful followers of
Yeah,
Sith.
exactly. That was my next question. Like, who are those followers? Were they did they share in any way, shape, or form the power of the dark side, or did they just worship it? You know, did they just?
That's a good question. They could be either. I don't know.
Yeah. So that was really interesting, and I think that talks a little bit to one of the earlier questions about future stories, or being able to dive later into some stories before this saga, or you know, intermittent in between some of the episodes that they're going to be doing, like the Obi-Wan series, TV series that they're doing.
I'd love to see him encounter like accidentally come upon some Sith planet or some subculture.
I wanted more depth. Like, I think I'm just echoing what you're saying. I was like, man, who are these people, and why don't we know what they're doing? I know they're worshiping. I know they're just kind of like I feel like they were just a really large hype crowd for Palpatine, but because that's all they portrayed, and I'm sure there's more depth in who they are and what they are. So, yeah, I wish that part wasn't rushed.
Well, the idea of religion and cult and following has really come up in this new trilogy, where you don't see any of that in the original or the prequels. But now, starting with episode 7, they revealed in one of the visual encyclopedias that is canon that there was a Church of the Force. And basically it was people who they weren't force sensitive, but they did have some kind of faith or esoteric feelings of belief in the Force in general. So that was weird and cool. And then now we've got the Sith following, and diving deeper into episode 9, I learned that those people that Kylo was just mowing down in that forest in the very first rush, really fast scene in your face. That was actually on Mustafar, which is the planet where Vader's castle is or was. And those people that he was killing to get to that, one of the Wayfinders those are people who camped came to that planet, and basically worshipped the dark side and Vader's stuff. So they were outside and around that castle area. And like really liked Vader, really liked the dark side. So
I guess they touched, would they have touched this, what you're talking about in Rogue One?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to mention the exact same thing. Go ahead, Nate.
No, go ahead.
About the Rogue One. I mean, but the Jedi. I mean the light side. The blind. Keeper. The blind
Rogue One had that too.
Yeah, where he was sensitive to the Force, but he wasn't. But he wasn't
with me. I'm all with the Force.
Yeah, but he wasn't a Jedi. But he was sensitive to it. You know,
right? And we learn about that city of Jeddah, which is like some kind of ancient Jedi city, which we'll never know anything about because it got destroyed. But there is the Guardians of the Wills, and they're opening up this religion faith idea, which is great because in the real world, if there were superpowers, there'd be some cults and religions about that stuff.
Imagine that. Yeah. Well, we kind of already talked about Rey's parentage, but did you guys have anything else to add about? What did you?
It was really, really quick. It just kind of happened, and I was like, "Man, dang, come on!"
So you liked the fact that they presented it, but you disliked that they didn't dwell on it.
There wasn't enough screen time to even recognize who the actors were. I was just like, everything's happening so quick. So I feel like they explained all they needed to explain within maybe the 10 seconds that we got to see, but.
After watching it twice, I was still a little hazy and confused about the flow of events, so I had to look it up and kind of sort. I still have some headcanon as to what happened and why. But I would like to some more screen time. Maybe even show like a full, I don't know, full length sequence or a longer sequence of the parents dropping her off, escaping, and then getting killed and protecting her. Like, that would have been, I think, better. When it was revealed, all I could say inside my head was, "I told you so," to all those people that defended Kylo and said he was telling the truth. Like, her parents are not nobodies.
Yeah.
He's the son of like Palpatine. That's not nobody. And they didn't sell her off for drinking money. They sold her off to save her. So told you so, you dang Kylo defenders.
But that's a good segue into the pacing and the energy of the talking a little bit about that. I thought, like I said, I felt like it just picked up right after episode 8. And it just did not stop. Like I said, it reminded me of Endgame. It just hits, full throttle right from the beginning. Like that's why I watched it several times, so that I knew. So for like me, I remember the sequences with Rey's parents, because I remember, okay, Rey's parents scene is coming up right here, so I'm going to just pay attention significantly more, so that I can see what the dad looks like and see what happens and see the disagreement and the argument there that led to his shanking, and
Sith shanking.
Yeah, and then paying attention to just some of the more significant scenes that go by so fast. But like you said, Nate, they go by, they give you just enough to keep the movie rolling. That's why a second and a third watch sometimes is warranted.
I found myself so many times wishing I had a pause button and a jump back button. Being a podcast listener, if I ever miss something on a podcast, I hit the backwards 15 seconds button. I'm good to go. I can re-listen or just pause it, research, and think about it. But in the movie theater, you don't have that. I was like, I'm itching to press pause. I need to soak this in. We're talking about likes. Another moment that I loved was the moment with Han and Ben. And I didn't really like the fact that Han showed up. We can talk about that maybe. But I did like the fact when he wants to say, "I love you, Dad," and he doesn't have to. And Han says, "I know."
Yes. That was it. That was one of them.
So good.
That was one of them.
A lot of people were like, I don't think Han's coming back in any form. And I was like, maybe not alive, but.
Exactly. Well, he said he didn't, and they explained it perfectly. He says, I'm in your memory. Just how are you here? It's just
kind of a weird moment.
I'm your memory.
It's a memory ghost.
Yeah.
Like a force ghost, but a memory ghost.
Yeah. Well, he just died, so maybe it was a near-death event. Maybe. Or near-death experience. And so maybe it was his actual ghost and he saw them. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of stuff happens in the brain at that moment. So
if Carrie Fisher were still alive during the filming of this, I feel like that would have been Carrie Fisher appearing to him as a force ghost after dying. Now she wouldn't have died because they wouldn't have had to make her die in the film. It would have been different. But I always thought it was weird. It's like, okay, he's talking to his memory. He's having a discussion with revelations of his own memory. It's kind of out of character for Star Wars.
Well, I mean, it was kind of a whole moment where he killed Kylo, I guess, technically, metaphorically, was killed, and now he wants to be Ben. So it was kind of a weird moment in general. So
it was beat for beat. If I remember a reviewer saying it was beat for beat the exact same scene without, as in Force Awakens, but I mean the dialogue and everything. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And then he reaches up with this lightsaber. And everything except for turning it on and killing Han and like in Force Awakens, it's everything is beat for beat like it should have been, kind of thing. The salvation of Ben. I thought that was just wonderful. I love that the way that they showed Harrison Ford's character in there. Speaking of characters showing up, the footage, what I loved, and the third time I watched it, I was very keen to watch all the interactions and scenes where Leia was in, because all of that stuff was footage from episode 8 that they shot that they didn't use.
Yeah.
And that's pretty amazing that they were able to create scenes with just random footage from another movie.
Yeah, I think they had 10 minutes from episode 7 of her that wasn't used.
Yeah.
They asked the family, can we use this unused footage of, Carrie Fisher, your mom, and your whoever they were talking to, your sister? And they said, yes, please do. Like, this is what she would want. They pledged not to CGI her as far as old Leia. And they rewrote some of the story to make it work with her death in the middle of the movie.
So cool.
Just crazy.
So on my second watch, I could tell that the dialogue was very generic. But then on the last watch, I was like, okay, I could see these being addressed to different people, not the people that are actually in this sequence. And I'm like, okay, I was like, wow, they really did an amazing job reusing the footage. It's incredible. It's just the power of editing. I noticed a little bit of masking where it might have been in a different scene because she didn't film it out in the forest. Yeah, the masking in it was just, I mean, I could tell because I was looking for it. I was like, okay, I see the soft edges there. Okay, I see where they masked that it was just so superbly done.
So how much did they actually use the stand-in?
Anything that was over the shoulder. So where the back of her head is showing to the audience, that's not her. That's
good job, though.
Yeah. I would presume then that they had at some point intended to show Rey training in episode 8 because some of the dialogue that is relevant is during the training stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the sequence that they completely cut out of episode 8 where Rey is training as a Jedi. And, but yeah, I loved that. That was beyond a like. I thought that they did that really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move beyond things that we just like. Let's move on to what some favorite moments or also some surprises. So what are some things that just like you're going to hold on to for a long time and always remember when you think of the movie, and some things that just truly surprised you? I'll go first. The first thing that really surprised me was when Rey used her Force lightning. That was just like, whoa. Yeah. And then she blew up the carrier. And then I was like, oh, no, Chewie. Oh, that was a big moment. Cool
not
and
cool,
sad.
Bro.
Yeah, that was not cool. That hurt my heart, man.
Yeah.
That was a pretty intense moment. I thought she was going to like slam the transporter onto Kylo or something,
Movie over right there.
Yeah. Cool. Another few things that really just slapped me in the face and was cool was Leia. The fact that Leia had a saber, like that was awesome.
And that explains, like in the last one where Leia does the force float through space.
The Mary Poppins trick.
Oh, yeah. She was actually trained. Yeah, she knew what she was doing. So her saber was really beautiful. It looked like Obi-Wan's saber and or rather Luke's green saber. It had that kind of same ending on the top. With the skinny and then the wide little heat exhaust pieces, but the rest of it was really beautiful. And then of course at the very end, the fact that Rey finally made her own saber was just so cool. Yes, finally.
And it was yellow.
My favorite color for sabers too. So now sadly it's not a staff saber. I was really banking on the fact that she would go with her strength, which is bow staff fighting. She would use like 2 different crystals on the end and have like a green and a blue or something. That would be super cool. And then she could be swinging around a bow staff and cutting people's heads off.
But somebody mentioned
it wasn't the staff.
Somebody mentioned that the bottom portion that it was symmetrical to the top, so it was possible.
Both ends of her staff are the same, and she did use the staff, so she cut off. It seems like the last like foot or less of length of, of either end of the staff, and so it is her staff, but it's not like a staff saber.
What a cool way to turn your saber on.
I know, right? It just makes sense because that thing's been with her for a long time, and she's gone through stuff with it. So and maybe she'll have 2 at one point because she's got the other end.
And the scene where she wrapped up the sabers and used the Force to bury them, I was like, oh come on, someone's for sure gonna find those.
Sequel. Some little slave kid with a metal detector.
It was too good to say that's not the end because she said I'm a Skywalker, looked at the sunset, and the movie was over. I was like, the movie, the Skywalkers aren't done.
That was one of my favorite moments. That when she changed her name, and the reason is because if we go back to talking about one of the themes, identity. A lot of people say blood is thicker than water, and there's only one thing that's thicker than blood, and that's choice. And
molasses.
Molasses. But
Caramel?
it's it's just,
Sorry.
dude, I'm trying to be deep here. No, I'm just kidding. No, is choice, and it's made evident by just, for example, the marriage covenant. There's nothing more intimate than the marriage covenant, and that's a covenant of choice. The choice, if we go to our biblical roots or our Christian roots, the choice that Jesus made to graft the Gentiles into righteousness. It was, choice has always been the most sacred covenant of all, when you make a choice. And yeah, I think that was pretty cool how they wrapped that up, where she made the choice and she realized that she made the choice to be a Skywalker. I thought that was really cool. That was one of my favorite moments.
I liked it for that same reason, but I also didn't like it because I'm like, I'm just too literal with things like that. I'm like, you're not really a Skywalker. I mean, you can take on like the essence of what they did, but
is your wife really a Grove?
Oh, hey.
You see what I'm saying? And that's and she is. I would say that she is, because she made the choice to be so. And so
she's worthy of the title.
or she felt honored to take it on. And that's my point, is that she made the choice to become a Skywalker with the permission of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
So it's not really the end of the Skywalker saga, because it's just kind of continuing now.
Yeah. Changing back to Rey, one of probably the most satisfying was Palpatine killing himself. I was like,
could he just like stop shooting his lightning?
Yeah, I don't understand that whole point. He just kind of kept going.
It hurts.
So.
It burns us. It burns.
It's like, in like reality, it's like putting your hand in a light socket and not pulling it out. And so it's like,
yeah, I'll go with that. That makes sense.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting, because honestly, when it got to the point when you strike me down, then you'll become more powerful. And he's been saying that forever, but it just kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh snap.
But I think that leads perfectly into the downfall of every tyrannical authoritarian figure. Is arrogance. And as a matter of fact, in the original trilogy, Luke Skywalker tells Palpatine that his downfall will be his arrogance. And
that's awesome.
And so that's what is ultimately his downfall. The fact that he thinks that he's the bee's knees, that he's it, And yeah, I think that does him in, is his own ego.
Yeah.
And that's the curse, the ultimate curse of the Sith, is that, and that's why they ultimately die. That's why there's ultimately only ever two, because their arrogance kills them.
Yeah. I love the opposite of Jedi versus Sith, and how they do things so different than each other. Like the Sith way of moving up in the ranks is you literally eventually become more powerful or more clever than your master, and you kill your master. Yeah. And now, voila, now you're the big honcho, and eventually you get someone and they're going to kill you eventually. Like, what kind of lifestyle is that? But the Jedi is the total opposite. You find a student, you form a relationship with them, you guide them through life, and you help them become stronger so they can go out and do the same and help other people. It's like totally opposite. And I love that juxtaposition there.
Yeah. His arrogance definitely got in the way, because he just kept toying around with the opportunity of killing everybody. And I'm like, dude, like, especially when they Ben and Rey partnered up, he's like, and he was pulling life out of them. I was like, dude, he could have just killed them, but he didn't.
Well, he needed their life force, because I think eventually he realized Rey was not going to do what he wanted, so he's got a plan B, which is, you guys have this force that connected together is like the force or the life force. It's strong like life itself. So he sucks it out. He's like, well, I guess go with plan B, is regenerate myself. And
he's the first Dementor.
Yeah, he was totally Dementoring them.
That was kind of weird.
One of the things that I liked, and some of the stuff, was all the cameos, like all the voices, like especially right at the beginning when Palpatine says, "I was the voice in your head leading you here," and it goes through the voice of Snoke, it goes through the voice of Darth Vader, it goes through the voice of Palpatine, and who else did I miss? One? Was there another voice in there somewhere?
Those are his masters, just
Vader
and
Snoke. And I thought that was just really cool, and just so many different cameos. One of my favorite actors, because I love musicals, is Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I knew he was in this, and I spent the better part of all of my viewings trying to see if I could find him in the background, and it wasn't until the last time that I actually saw him, and I saw him for like I want to say like a second and a half. I'm like, there he is. I see him. Did you guys any cameos that you guys liked?
I didn't know of any until I had to look it up later. Now I did suspect James Earl Jones came in to record that line. It's funny. He had like 3 words
and got paid like
2 words.
$250,000.
Right. I know. I want to know. And same with Andy Serkis. He said like 2 words too. And he got paid bukus. No, I didn't know about the cameos until later that I read about it. And it's just cool to see that.
Did you guys know that Ed Sheeran and Harry Styles were in the Stormtroopers?
I didn't. I actually had a sneaking suspicion based on what happened with episode 7. I was hoping some crazy random celebrities were going to be in Stormtrooper outfits. And there you go. So another cameo that I loved reading about in post, I didn't notice it in the movie, but was John Williams. He's a bartender. I thought that was hilarious and cool. Has he ever been in any of the movies?
Not that I can recall.
I think so. His cameos are cool now, but they weren't back then.
Yeah.
Not as much. So yeah, John Williams was in there. J.J. Abrams voiced Dio, the little droid, and that was also pretty cool. He hasn't apparently done any acting or voice role whatsoever since his 2001 series Alias. It's been like almost 20 years. So that was cool. What else? We mentioned Andy Serkis. He did the voice of Snoke. All like 2 or 3 words he said. And I think there's like over 20 cameos in the whole movie.
I think that I saw a list somewhere. It was 27.
So we're talking about cameos. Let's kind of move on to the other section of cameos, which was all the Jedi voices near the end when she finally gets to be with, all the Jedis are with her and she hears the voices and they encourage her. So I have a quick list here. I'm not going to take a long time, but there's about 10 of them. So we had Adi Gallia. We had Kanan Jarrus. That's from Rebels. We had Qui-Gon Jinn. We had a young and old Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's weird. I don't know why there's both. Force Ghost is only one age. We had Ayala Sakura. I think she was a Twi'lek that died in Order 66. We had Anakin Skywalker from Hayden Christensen, of course. We had Ahsoka Tano, voiced by Ashley Eckstein. That was exciting. Nice. Love to have her voice in there. We had Luminara Unduli, Mace Windu, and Yoda twice. I think Qui-Gon Jinn and Yoda had like 2 things they said at different times.
Probably.
So I wish that they would have all showed up as Force ghosts. Just like surrounded her.
That would have been way out of budget, I think.
I guess so.
That would have been really cool.
And again, I kind of wish that instead of them having to one sacrifice their life for the other with the life force thing, I kind of wish that the Force ghost would have revived Rey. I know maybe they don't have life force to give because their bodies are dead. I don't know how that works. Of course, Abrams just making up his own rules so he could do it. But that would have been pretty cool. That way we could have both of them alive. We could have Reylo. We could have Force babies in the future, and see a bunch of Force ghosts doing something helpful for once. Geez, they're just standing around watching. Like, what are they doing?
Bunch of smiling.
Watching the only hope for the galaxy just like die alone.
Did you guys see any issues? Anything stick out to you guys as far as like?
No, it's not going to be a plot hole. I wanted them to explain the Millennium Falcon jumping multiple times and then catching on fire. They didn't go any more depth.
That's simple.
Did it get?
They're just hyperdrive, overdrive.
I know.
You just wanted more.
Yeah.
Just wanted more.
I mean, I don't know. Makes sense to me.
It was cool. It was cool though.
You wanted to nerd out more on it. But yeah, I thought he was just literally just overdriving the engine. It's like, you can't do that. Because she was livid.
Yeah.
He's livid.
You broke my droid. You burnt my ship.
He blew the sub radiators. Whatever those sub radiators are, he blew them.
Yeah.
And they're gone. And she's upset. I've got a list of some things that just kind of stood out to me as plot holes or problems. The first one was just the fact that we can now teleport objects through space with the Force. That was just a little much for me. Although it did make for awesome scenes, made for a cool story. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like Abrams is doing a little too much bending of the Force to do what he wants for a story. Because that was major convenience there. Teleporting the lightsaber, and then, of course, teleporting the necklace to track her where she was. Like, if those things didn't happen, he would have had to rewrite a big portion of the story. So that was something. I didn't really get the fact that Leia died, but her body didn't become one with the Force until later. It's like, where was she? Was she dead? It was just weird because when a Jedi dies and becomes one, they disappear.
Yeah, I didn't understand the moment where she called out Ben.
Yeah, she called out Ben, but she hadn't become one with the Force yet her body was dead. It's like, oh, are you in limbo? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, maybe some sort of like Force, kind of like how R2 shut himself down and put himself in low power mode. So it's like a Jedi low power mode or something. I don't know.
Maybe
because she anticipated that was going to happen, and so when it was time to give up, she
had just enough Force to do something cool before she really gave up. Another thing that I was a little disappointed with was the fact that the SOS signal that they sent out from Crate seems to have just been forgotten. Like they do address it in the movie, and they're like, we sent out a SOS message, but no one responded. I'm like, wow, way to go, Resistance! Like, disappointing. We got Kylo just zipping around the galaxy somehow. He's always got an extra ship somewhere. Even though his first TIE fighter gets destroyed by Rey doing that awesome parkour
What
flip.
a cool move.
That was cool. How did he survive that explosion? And how did the Wayfinder survive that explosion? Because it totally blew up with him in it, with the Wayfinder. But they survive. He gets another TIE fighter. And then later, I thought this was kind of funny. Rey just jacks his TIE fighter on the Death Star. Flies off. I'm like, hey, that's my ride. So he somehow gets off of there too. And someone picks him up, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's chasing Rey all over the place. But when he finally gets there in the desert, and they do the Force lightning thing, he just lets her go. I'm like, dude, you just had her. Like, why didn't you get her or something?
Yeah.
And I was annoyed the fact that somehow Chewie's little transport ship got off into the atmosphere and left, and no one saw it. The whole wrong transport thing.
I think it's the Mandalorian also sets this up where when you use too much of the Force, your body is drained. So if she couldn't feel anything after that, because she was grabbing her hand, remember? She grabbed her hand as in like, ouch, that hurt, or that drew a lot of life force out of me, or whatever that looks like. And she wouldn't have been able to use the Force to tell that he was on some other transport. She just knew that an explosion happened. Now you're less Force sensitive because you just let out a whole lot. And so you have to kind of recharge or whatever, however that process happens. Which would explain why she wasn't able to Force sense Chewie in the other transport.
That could be it. I did kind of, seeing it the second time today, I kind of realized there's a space issue going on where there's like this little mini mountain where the ship is on top. And on one side is where the troopers landed, and they somehow captured Chewie, which is, again, I was like, seriously? Like, Chewie didn't even put up a fight. He would have ripped some heads off, if he was getting captured. But anyway, so that happened on one side of the little miniature hill mountain thing, but on the other side is where Rey was. So she came around and met Kylo, or came around to where the transports were. Maybe she didn't. The first one had taken off and she couldn't see it because the little mountain was in the way.
Yeah.
No, something geographic like that. We've also got Force healing everywhere because Baby Yoda can do it. Now it's cool that everyone that has a Force can do healing all of a sudden.
You're talking about the scene where Chewie dies. Can we just talk about how I feel like how underused the Knights of Ren were in this movie?
Oh yeah, totally.
I was like,
that's it.
I was like, what? Hello?
They were seen on that mountaintop looking all super cool with a camera panning around them. But
I thought that was probably the best part, and then that's kind of it.
The fight at the end is awesome with Ben.
Yeah, I mean, they played. I feel like they played their epic scene on the mountain rock, hide and go seek, and then they cornered him. I was like, oh wow, Knights of Ren, really? I wish there was this more.
Let's see what else was there with plot hole stuff. Dark Rey, another big letdown. Like I'm really sound like I don't like this movie. I promise I love this movie.
Yeah,
but I am also very nitpicking and literal.
I wanted some more of that. I really just maybe a longer fight instead. It was just like a boo
explanation,
and then boom, boom, and then out, and then Kylo.
She tumbles out of the vault. So that's called the Emperor's Vault, where he keeps his relics. He loves the old relics.
Yeah.
She literally falls out of the doorway and then sees Kylo, and she just totally forgets that there's this Bilbo Baggins, sharp-teethed, crazy dark clone of her in that room just behind her. Then don't care. There's Kylo in front of me. I mean, I would be looking behind my back. I would run away from that. That was freaky. And she's just boom, 10 seconds. Okay, gone. I don't care about her anymore. Did you guys feel that way, or am I overthinking it?
I mean, it was a nice callback to Luke when he faced Vader during his training, and it was him. But that was a lot longer than what we got for this one. And that was just a bum deal that it had a double saber. And I was just like, really? Cool. 4 moves and then out of the chambers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she forgets about her.
Yeah.
Lots of potential there. Would have been so cool. What if she
Yeah,
kept
would've-
popping up in her dreams? Like she has dreams about her dark, like alternate self. That'd have been cool.
And it would have worked well because she said she had visions
Yeah.
or dreams of her sitting on the throne. And
the
I'm like,
throne.
hello?
Man.
This could have been that night terror thing that's following you around as you're traveling.
Oh, I would love to have seen like throughout the movie, like 2 or 3 different times where she has a force vision or a dream of Dark Rey with Kylo on the throne. Man, that'd have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been
fan fiction material right
Yeah.
there.
It's just it's a missed opportunity for them to throw it. I should have known better. They threw it at the trailer, and I knew once they throw things at the trailer, sometimes they don't play out the way you think, which is
Oh,
what
of
Abi
course.
said. That's totally Disney's MO for now. But
Trixie Disney's is
it's just, man. And that would have played better on what you said about Rey being a clone if that wasn't a foreshadow, if it was actually a clone of herself.
Another thing that caught me off guard was at the very end when she's at the Lars homestead, which is on Tatooine. That random old lady just in the middle of nowhere happens to be out by this property of moisture farmers.
Yeah,
like, where did you come
and
from?
how did she know? Well, how did she know that's where Luke grew up?
Yeah, she knows. She knows some
I was like,
history there.
I guess they could play the whole.
The old lady's like, no one's been around here for a long time, or whatever. And she's, who are you? You know?
Yeah, there was another episode. Was it the sequels? I can't remember where. Is it Obi-Wan or somebody's traveling with that same camel?
Oh, really? That's a
Tatooine camel.
callback?
Yeah, it's a callback.
That's cool.
And yeah,
I feel like they left the open ended on how she knew where Luke lived.
In my mind, I was thinking like, okay, if I was a director, how would I fix that scene? And one funny thought I had was, what if after burying the sabers, she goes to the cantina and she's sitting at the bar and one's like, I haven't seen you around here. Who are you? You know, or who are you?
Yeah.
And she gets to have that little line somehow. That'd have been funny because it would kind of bring it back to the whole cantina where a lot of it started.
Yeah.
At Mos Elsie or wherever that was. Any other plot holes you guys think of? Anything that annoyed you?
I had one earlier on my drive home. I had it in my head, and I'm looking at this list, and I can't remember.
Is it that no one ever went to the bathroom or ate food?
No, but I did see that instant bread recipe. Have you heard about that instant bread recipe? Somebody actually made some.
That's hilarious. From episode 7.
Yeah, instant bread. You can
Just
you
add
can Google
water.
it.
Did anyone eat any food in this whole movie? I don't.
And there was no milk either.
No colored milk. Yeah, what a disappointment. Maybe a purple
Two
milk. in this
colors,
one.
green or blue.
No, I'm glad they didn't. That was so gross. And that was the only thing I thought Last Jedi was like.
It was nasty.
Okay, come on, man. That was so gross. It was like he was popping a pimple. It was gross.
Yeah, but they were trying to highlight the moment that he really doesn't care anymore.
He didn't care about much.
Yeah.
He just let himself go.
His whole Jedi uniform was like, yeah, I'm just a hobo.
He was like the dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jedi dude version. All right, Nate, why don't you bring us to the next section, the questions?
Did you want to do the title crawl?
Nah, it's fine. I've ranted enough about
that's
stuff.
interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't catch it either. What was it like?
I'll
didn't
bring
know.
it up. So now my last thing, and again, I totally sound like one of those like toxic fans that just hates this movie, but I really don't. But my last little complaint is the title crawl was weird to me because first of all, it says "The Dead Speak." I just felt like that was cheesy and weird. But a lot of the title crawl hasn't even happened yet until like a third through the movie because it says that, first of all, Palpatine sent out a message. And he hadn't yet until
ghost message.
Yeah, he doesn't send out that broadcast until like later. And I was
good point.
I don't even know what it said. Like it was just passed over real fast. I don't remember the purpose.
It's actually they have the whole thing on. It's on Fortnite.
Oh,
So Fortnite has themes depending on what's popular in culture and stuff like that. And during the Star Wars chapter that they released a couple weeks ago, that whole radio message is relayed into every server on Fortnite.
Brother. How random.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about marketing, 360 marketing.
Yeah. You know, at the end of the movie when all the planets kind of have their little victory, where they finally get the guts to go up there and destroy that measly little Star Destroyer that's been floating around their planet. So each planet gets their victory. What about the planets that didn't have anyone that didn't care enough, or maybe they didn't have enough firepower and they all got shot out of the sky? Like, we need to make a name for it, because this happens in so many sci-fis where you destroy the home base or the hive mind queen, and all the cronies around the galaxy just fall limp, like the battle droids. Or in Avengers, we got those. What was the name for those cool aliens that are flying around New York?
Chitauri.
Yeah, Chitauri. They all just fall limp because the main brain ship destroyed with nuke.
It's called a hive mind, isn't it?
Hive mind plot hole.
Yeah. Yeah, hive mind plot hole.
It's a classic, and I saw it here. I was like, oh, there we go. Now there's a little variation because it did require some action on the side of the people actually destroying the ships. They didn't just blow up.
Yeah.
But
what about those warthog horses? I thought those were
cool.
Cool.
Very realistic.
He's like, shut him down. He's like, I can't.
Yeah, they had like an EMP ready to attack speeders, which is kind of strange on the deck, but there weren't any speeders because they had the horses. And I was like, oh yeah, we're going all natural.
I thought that was pretty interesting that they took the antenna that was on the ground and moved it to the ship. So I was like, that's smart.
Yeah, that bomb down the hatch just perfectly went all the way up the building and destroyed the antenna on top. Did I notice that? They're like half a mile away, and the explosion just went boop, 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 boop. Yay.
So at the very end, she looks off on the sunset. She's already declared she's a Skywalker by choice. Yeah. That makes you wonder if Palpatine had children. Is she the only one? Does he have other love interests in the outer rim or the inner rim or whatever rim?
All over the rims. He could have other children and other grandchildren.
Yeah.
An exciting idea.
Why I think maybe she took the name Skywalker, because Disney's like, by the way, we're not done. I'm like,
we still need to make money, guys. Abi, what do you think about that possibility for future movies? Would you like to see them explore the other, remnants of Palpatine, or should they just leave it?
The whole I don't know. Maybe. I think there's other things that I want to. I think there's other things that are on my priority list.
Yeah, I agree.
Before that,
yeah. Be a good platform for them to bring Darth Ray back and actually be a twin.
Oh no! Well, she wasn't real though. She was like some kind of force.
No, I know.
All right. She's like, I can't pass the threshold of this door here. I'm stuck in here. Please, someone come play with me. Did you guys think that Jana might have been Finn's sister or Lando's kid? Because they totally hinted at that.
They acted like that. I was like,
They were leaning on that.
No. I didn't get the sister vibe, but or daughter vibe, but I did get the like, oh, here's spinoff. Yeah. Here's an obvious spinoff, like, hey, we can find out. We can go on that search,
I'd love to see that.
So there's going to be that. I don't think that she's related, but I think that they will flip that into a spinoff. I want to see Oscar Isaac, the Spice Runner. Let's see what that looks like. Like, it's almost like that's what they tried to do with Solo, but due to the backlash, it didn't necessarily work. So maybe a long form serial TV series will work better. Mm-hmm. And I think you could see Oscar Isaac returning as his Poe Dameron character pre-Resistance.
Did y'all like Zori Bliss?
I like the outfit. I thought it was Karen Gillan. She played Nebula in Avengers.
Yeah.
And she was also Amy Pond in Doctor Who. That's what the voice reminded me of. So it was Carrie. What was
Carrie
the name
Russell,
of
from The Americans?
Russell. Yeah, from The Americans, right?
That's a cool show. Y'all seen that show?
I've watched first couple episodes.
It's pretty fun. I was disappointed that she didn't take off her helmet. Like, she's a beautiful woman. I wanted to see her full face. We just got to see her eyes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But cool helmet, cool character, underutilized. I mean, I don't know if they could have put anything else into this movie. It was very packed. So there's always that. It's like, how much more can you really fit into a movie? Yeah, maybe we'll see more of her in the future. And, maybe she didn't take off her helmet because she's like a Mandalorian or something similar to a Mandalorian. I don't know.
He's a robot.
Are there some things that you guys are really hoping to see pay off in this movie? Maybe from trailer misleading or just what you wanted to see, but you didn't?
I was really, 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 really hoping Finn picked up a lightsaber.
He did.
But no,
he held
yeah,
it.
but like actually stand his ground and not get hurt. But the other one that kind of was misleading, of course, we just point out that Disney does this. I wish CP3O actually shot somebody.
That'd have been so great.
I wish he would have went into battle mode, but whatever.
Yeah, red eyes. I was hoping to see some more backstory between Luke and Kylo with like the whole destruction of his academy on the island, and how maybe just how he turned into Kylo, like the Snoke and the Palpatine manipulation. We haven't seen any of that, and I felt like it actually would have made sense, but they dropped that. Also, I was hoping to see, like I said earlier, a group of Force ghosts show up and save the day, or at least like help push Rey over the edge. We got the voices, but we didn't get very many Force ghosts in this movie. There was just Luke and a little bit of Leia too, kind of vision thing.
Yeah, Leia at the end.
And some of the leaks or whatever rumors about the movie was saying that we were definitely going to get Finn's backstory. Well, that didn't happen.
Boo. Everything was wrong, I think, in that. Yeah, all those leaks were like bad. They were really bad.
There should be some standardized like rating system to rate websites that make leaks or rumors, and we can just grade them after a movie comes out and be like, "Oh, you have a 50% accuracy rating. I'm not going to listen to your articles anymore." That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But how did you see leaks? Because I thought you turned your Google off, so you didn't see anything. Oh, spoilers!
I didn't want to be spoiled as to Rey's parents or anything Palpatine related. Like I knew he was going to come back. We all knew that, but I didn't want to know like why, how, or what. So I used a plugin to block all Star Wars posts that included those words, so I wouldn't get it ruined.
Yeah, I saw that you did that. That's pretty cool.
Did you guys notice that Rose had like no role in this movie?
Which I feel bad for the actual the human that got like attacked. So they probably were tippy toeing for her.
I thought she had she felt more like because of her actions in the last movie that she was promoted, and so I think she was a leader, and in doing so, leaders they just give orders and direct people, so they're
grunt work.
I think that's what happened with her. She got promoted, so she's
like she still has a thing for Finn.
Yeah.
Well, so that secret thing that he wanted to tell Rey, I found out that it actually wasn't an admission of love or anything romantic. This is from Abrams himself. Basically, what Finn wanted to tell Rey was that he can feel the Force and that he's Force sensitive. And throughout the movie, you hear him saying like, "I had a feeling." He just knows where things are, and he knows when someone is like dying. He's definitely Force sensitive. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that's opening up for some future fun in some other movies coming up in the future.
Yeah.
And being trained or whatever. One of the comics actually that's canon basically said that Poe Dameron uses the Force too when he pilots, because he was like explaining how he pilots so well. And he's like, I get a feeling and I just feel like something's guiding me or something like that. It's basically the Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I feel like he's going to be the new Han Solo, where he's going to be like the outsider, and not believe in the woo-woo magic stuff. But no, he's got some Force-iness in him somewhere.
I feel like a lot of the lead roles that we're used to kind of took a back seat on this one.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, Rose wasn't there. R2 was barely did anything. He did a few things.
Well, he's stuck with Leia, which is kind of more of the iconic kind of stuff.
How did y'all feel about the retcons, or rather the fixes, quote unquote? Abrams fixing some of the Last Jedi stuff. Did you like it? Was it funny to you?
I thought it was satisfying for not just the nerds, but even for the casual observer that kind of figures out the logic of Star Wars. Like, wait a second. But I think it was really well. It was tasteful.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a complete just like, oh, that didn't happen. It was more like
well, let's explain.
They worked it into the story like Snoke. Snoke is a clone, and they showed multiple Snokes in the thing, and it's like, or that was pretty cool.
Or Luke catching the saber. It doesn't retcon what he did, tossing it behind him in Episode 8, but it explains like now that he is more mature, now that he's a Force ghost, he sees things, and he realizes he said I was wrong, and I like that.
I was wrong.
And he's this weapon of a Jedi deserves more respect. I thought it was funny, and I liked it at the same time.
I totally called it too when she threw it. I was like, he's gonna catch it. And boom.
Yeah.
Those Wayfinders, man, those things are resilient. It survived that fire too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They don't make them like they used to, you know? Those Sith wayfinders.
Yeah, what's the big Sith, that triangle thing? What, Omicron?
That's a
Or what are those
holocron.
things? Holocron.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was at first, and I got excited. I was like, "Oh yeah, Sith holocron finally in the movies." It was in Solo in the background in the trophy room, but I was like, "Finally!"
Turns out to be Garmin GPS.
Turn left.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been funny.
Go to the fourth dimension.
It was cool seeing the original X-wing come out of the water.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
I did like to see that. And so now, like again, with this new Abrams Force, canon, like Force Ghosts can do stuff. They can lift things. They can interact with the real world. Pretty interesting. We haven't seen that before until Yoda made that lightning storm and burned down the tree. But now, like they can do a lot of stuff. So let's end the episode with talking about what we would like to see next in the Star Wars franchise as a whole, and maybe more specifically with movies, because there's gonna be an Episode 10, or another trilogy. Rian Johnson's supposedly making a trilogy, and Jon Favreau's done such a great job. They'll probably give him a movie eventually. What do you guys think? What would you like to see?
The Skywalker Palpatine.
now that the Palpatine saga is over, because let's face it, it was all about Palpatine.
Now we really can get to the
rise of Palpatine, because he started out as a senator and he ended up as an emperor. Yeah.
You could also call Episode 9 the Smile of Skywalker, because Kylo Ren finally smiled and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah. It was too much for him.
Or
Thanos' snap reached all the way into.
Whoa. I'm just kidding. It's Disney's year to make people disappear.
The Mandalorian rifle is basically the Thanos snap rifle. Have you seen that thing shooting little Jawas?
It vaporizes them.
And Thanos them away. I mentioned earlier that the children of Palpatine idea, or grandchildren of Palpatine idea. I don't know how seriously I'd like to see it develop, but it kind of stands up in my mind. I'm like, a what if?
I think after all the winded 42 years of running, I think it's time to see some Old Republic stuff.
Yeah, we need to change the scenery for sure.
I mean, I'm good with future movies from Episode 9, but let's do some callbacks and kind of understand what's happening.
I wouldn't mind seeing the wheels and all that stuff and going.
Yeah, Jeddah before it got blown up. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That would be really cool.
This would be interesting, like the Mandalorian TV show format. But instead of the Mandalorian, it would be like a Jedi historian that like travels around, or an investigator or something weird. And he gets
like Quantum
to travel.
Leap.
Yeah. No time travel. But he would get to jump around planets. We would get to see more of the myth, and we would get some bigger story going on, maybe like 100 years before Luke, or something just obscure that we've never looked into. We've got a lot of new characters that there could be easily movies about. We got Janna, Carrie Fisher's daughter. I forgot her name in the movie. But she's one of the leaders, and I would love to see some adventures with like her and Finn and Janna. It would just be kind of a cool random team up.
Can we just finally see Broomstick Boy have a role?
Turn evil.
I'm like, so annoying. I hate that they did that at the end, and then I'm like, what? Hello? He's the chosen one.
I liked it. Rian Johnson was again trying to make Rey out of a nobody. And that message is like, anyone can have the Force. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
And then Abrams like, her parent is the son of Palpatine, the Emperor of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Broom Boy would be fun. I love this. I want to see Broom Boy go to the dark side, like get vengeance on the Jedi for not rescuing him from slavery.
Wouldn't it be interesting for Disney to take Episode 9 and let's just say it stops there, and then moving forward with Rey or whoever, it's the repeat of everything that we've gone through already.
Oh please, no more repeats.
They just redo.
Recycle. Script writing. Change the names.
Ever since The Force Awakens came out, I'm like, so many repeated ideas. Let's get something new, please. I'm done with Death Stars. This is like the Palpatine saga / the Death Star saga, because every freaking movie's got something Death Star related, and I'm so over it.
Yeah.
Evil planet.
I'm a little bitter. What else could there be? I mean, we could have a Poe Dameron movie. That'd be kind of cool. Or Poe and Zori, either future or past.
I think it'd be cool to see like Poe and Finn movie. Sounds kind of weird, but and kind of have Rey have Rey be the Luke Skywalker like he's been in the last couple, where he's just kind of standoffish.
Yeah. out of the picture. Ryan Johnson's going to supposedly make a trilogy, and I'm hoping that would be the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic. That'd be cool.
I think it'd be nice for them to possibly show us more Knights of Ren. That would be nice. But I doubt that's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Was there a fake timer, or did you post that, Nate? It
was
a
me.
timer.
It's like 1,080 days until the next Star Wars movie.
Yeah. And it's called Star Wars X or whatever. Yeah.
So yeah,
or is that just something that people are just running with?
No, they did. I think they gave us the year of the next Star Wars movie, and it's like 2022 or something. So we do have some very vague, like looking forward to something. We don't know what or who.
And so it's Star Wars, a new saga begins.
Hopefully a new saga, something else, something new.
Yeah.
It could be Knights of the Old Republic, which is pretty likely.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Knights. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode. It was so exciting.
Yeah, man.
And I can't remember last time I've ever watched a movie twice in theaters. I don't get out enough. Well, Avi, thanks for joining us again for another awesome episode. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And Nate, same with you. It's always good to have you around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your fault we're here anyway.
Yeah. And we hope everybody had a good Christmas.
Yeah, that's that too. I'm going to close out this episode with playing a few clips from my friends who saw the movie this weekend. I told them, hey, send in like a 30-second clip of what you felt about the movie, how you liked it or didn't like it. And if I like it, we'll play on the podcast. So you're going to hear that next. And we hope you guys had a great Christmas. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be with you next week.
Hello, this is Angela from the Anomaly Podcast. Most importantly, I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker more the second time I watched it than the first. This movie made me enjoy 7 and 8 even better. It was obvious to me that the Ben-Kylo storyline was the most consistent throughout. I really like the slow burn redemption. It seemed more organic. And the Ben smile is super heart-melting. That being said, I really love Rey, and I hope we get more Rey adventures, but story-wise, she felt like an afterthought. Oh, by the way, you're the progeny of Palpatine. I don't think they thought of that until they wrote this movie. Lastly, we need hordes of Force ghosts so you could see instead of just hearing the voices during the final battle. That would have been cool. Thank you. Bye.
Overall, my husband and I enjoyed the film. The pacing was good, and there was lots of references to both the original trilogy and the prequels. Our only real complaints were that the kiss between Rey and Ben felt like it wasn't needed. And then from a writing standpoint, they kept referencing Finn's feelings for Rey and then dropped it altogether and left it unanswered. But those were our only real issues that we felt. Overall, we loved it.
Hi guys, this is Joe from PopCultureGeekery.com. So I gotta say I disliked the breakneck pace of the movie. I was really hoping for an in-game style 3-hour movie. I really think it would have helped it, but I will say also that the revelation with Rey, I was kind of iffy at first, but it's the only thing that makes sense at this point. But Kylo Ren is my favorite arc of the whole trilogy. So definitely go check it out, because it's the last time we're going to see the Skywalkers up on screen, and judge for yourself.
Hello there, my fellow Star Wars fans. I just came back from seeing The Rise of Skywalker. So I really loved the film. It was amazing. The cinematography, the directing, everything was really good. The storyline I really liked, but there was some part that towards the end that I couldn't really understand. That didn't really make sense to me, but I actually really, overall, really liked the movie. I have no complaints about it. I thought it was a pretty good way to end the Skywalker trilogy or saga, whatever you guys want to call it, but I was very deeply impressed with how the entire film was done. Other than that, it was a great film. I really highly recommend it.
If you like this show, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You could also find our previous episodes there and listen whenever you want. We'd love to hear from our listeners, so if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and have a great week.
Do it in a Palpatine voice.
I don't know. I can't.
Do it.
Stop.
Do it.
I can't. Do it.
Do it.
Episode 98.
The Rise of Skywalker. Movie review.
Yeah.
Bring me the child.
That's hilarious.
I need more phlegm in my throat.